Hello, fellow humans. Welcome back to your mat for another practice. Today's practice is going to be focused on mobility and flexibility. And in regards to flexibility, I want to introduce a concept that has to do with the mind. So when you hear the word mind, you immediately think brain, you immediately go to the location of your head. But in reality, the mind is actually all throughout the body. It's your nervous system, it's the communication with your nervous system and the rest of your body. It involves all of your sensory input, so touch, feel, sight, smell, all of that stuff. That's always sending information to your brain and then being turned into something useful so that your brain can do something from there on out. So your mind is everywhere. And when you're thinking about flexibility or practicing with flexibility, it's not just your muscles, your ligaments, your tissues that have to be accustomed to this new range of motion, it's also your mind. And when you practice flexibility in a way that is deeper or progressive, your mind has to build up a tolerance. And if you've ever practiced a pose that feels really intense or uncomfortable, then you can relate to that. And that's part of it. So today is going to be a lot about breathing. We're going to take it really slow. We're not just focusing on passive flexibility. Sometimes in yoga, when you just focus on passive flexibility, then you can have injury. So today we're going to be building strength as well as flexibility. And we're going to focus on the wrist, the shoulders, and the hips. The other thing that I want to talk about is that tea and yoga just go so nicely together. So if you have a water or a tea, go ahead, pause the video, get that if you need that. And today we're going to be using blocks as well as a strap. You might even want a blanket for beneath your knees. So if you have to go get any of that stuff, please feel free to go do so. And then I'll meet you here on a block or sit cross-legged in a comfortable seat without lifting up your hips, whatever works for your body. As you arrive in your seat, just move your fleshy part of your bum out of the way. Let your sit bones find support. Your spine stacks nice and tall. The crown of your head reaches to the sky. You might look around you, take in your space. Just notice what you see. And then as you feel ready, close your eyes. You might take in what you hear, both in and outside of your space. Acknowledge that that will still be there when you're done your practice. So let go of any lists, any to-dos. Just start to focus on your breath. Notice the quality of your breath. Is it just in your chest? Is it short and shallow? And if it is, that's okay. Just consciously begin to send your breath a little deeper and a little deeper. And as you start to find slower and smoother exhales, let your body become a little softer and softer. Exhale to release tension from your shoulders, your arms, your neck. Exhale to release tension from your jaw, the skin of your eyes, temples, forehead. Even the skin of your scalp has the ability to hold tension. Can you let that go? And if you're feeling a little bit of tightness in your chest, a little bit of anxiety in your belly, wherever that's held for you, you might enjoy finding a full breath in, as full as you can go, Sipping a little more breath in and holding at the top of your inhale. And then open your mouth and sigh it out. You know your body if you need one or two more of those full deep sighs. And go ahead and give yourself that. And after your next exhale, blink your eyes open, lift the corners of your mouth, and enjoy today's practice. So just pick your hands up in front of your body and start to draw really large circles with your wrists. See if you can get them as large as possible, as if you're drawing with your middle finger in space. Start to notice any clicking or popping. That's okay. Your body builds up gas that's held in your joints, and that gas has to go somewhere. Then draw your circles the other way. You might start to feel a little bit of heat in your wrists and your forearms. That's wonderful. And then pause in stillness. You're just going to bend the top part of your fingers. You're just going to start to straighten and bend. See if you can go fast. Squeeze your fingers together. Open and close, open and close. You might start to notice a tiny bit of heat in the back of your hands. For 3, for 2. And then this time the whole finger, the part where your fingers connect to your palms, open and close. Keep it going. Notice that heat. This time your whole hand. So you're going to open your fingers really nice and wide and then close them into fists and see how fast you can go. I like to stick my arms out nice and wide for this. Probably doesn't make it any easier, but you're going to really start to feel heat in your forearms. You might start to notice a little bit of sensation around your elbows. Open and close, nice and fast. It might even feel like you're starting to lose strength or power. For 3, for 2, for 1. Shake out your hands. Side to side, front to back. If you're still getting any cracking or popping, that's okay. You might roll your wrists one more time, both directions. And we'll start to bring a little bit of movement into our shoulders. Big inhale to send your fingers wide and high. Look up. Exhale, cactus your arms. Big breath in, elbows go back, chest goes forward. Exhale, float your fingers down. With the pace of your own breath, again, inhale, lift. Exhale, cactus. Big breath in, expand. Let it go. Keep going. This time, as you exhale to release your fingers down to the earth, send them behind your body. Interlace your fingers and press your knuckles straight down. Keep your hands close to your body for now. Take a big breath in and sigh it out. Big breath in. This time, as you exhale, gently press your hands away from your body and behind you. Notice that stretch in the front of your shoulders. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Stay here, noticing expansion with each inhale. Exhale, press away. One more. Exhale, slowly release. Shake out your arms, your wrists, your hands. And then lean forward, find a tabletop position, move your block out of the way. So your knees come directly beneath your hips. Your hands are beneath your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide and then scrunch your fingers in towards your body. Start to draw tiny circles in one direction. Let your circles get a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. And start to notice how, as you shift forward, your fingers are stopping you from moving any further. Largest circle yet. One more. And then switch the directions of your circles. Start at about a medium-sized circle. You're starting to warm your wrists now. And again, let those circles get larger and larger. Use the strength of your fingers to stop you from going any further forward. 2 more really big circles. And then pause in the middle. Turn your left fingers back towards your body. We're going to stretch out our forearm, but our forearm actually runs all the way from our elbow to the tips of our fingers. So what we're going to do is bend our elbow, feel that stretch in the forearm, and lift the heel of our hand up and our thumb. And then let your shoulder come a little bit closer towards your wrist. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Keep going. Exhale as you lean forward. Feel that stretch in your palm, in your fingers, and your forearm. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, hold here. Just breathe for 5. One more breath in. Shift forward, turn your fingers back to front, and then switch hands. Your right fingers point towards you. Start to bend your elbow, lift the heel of your hand and your thumb, shoulder comes towards your wrist, and straighten. Exhaling to bend, inhaling to straighten. Keep it going. We're going to give a lot of love to our wrists today. Our hands and our wrists are the foundation of so many of our yoga poses. And it's something that a lot of practitioners, a lot of yogis don't actually pay attention to until they've been practicing for some time. So 5 more. 4, 3, 2. Last one, and hold. One more big breath in. Exhale, straighten your arm. Turn both fingers out towards the edges of your mat and just start to shift from side to side. Spread your fingers wide, grip them, scrunching them towards your palms. Start to let your shoulders go really wide. One more time each side. Good. This time, take most of the weight off your hands. Bring the back of your hands to the mat so that your fingers point towards your body. And then just start to shift back. I like to curl my toes under for this as well, because then you get a stretch in the bottom of your feet. Little double whammy. That's the type A in me, always being productive. Just gentle pulse of your hips towards your heels. Our wrists and our hands are really not designed to hold weight, but that doesn't mean they can't. So you want to build up an endurance, a tolerance to holding weight or building strength. And a lot of times what happens with our wrists is we get sore and we stop. And that's actually not a good thing, because then your body never builds up tolerance. It never builds up strength. So keep pulsing back for 3, for 2, for 1. Shift forward, bring the weight off your hands. Go ahead, sit back on your toes, and then reach back. Make sure even your pinky toe is tucked under. Feel that stretch in your feet. Roll your wrists out. There's 2 types of cells that are involved in bone density. One of the cells is called an osteoclast. They're responsible for breaking down the bone, or an osteoblast, which is responsible for building up bone. So what happens when we use our hands and our wrists and then we stop as soon as they get sore, we're not actually encouraging the action of an osteoblast to build more density in the bone. We just give up. So what happens if we continue, and sore is different than pain, when we continue working with our wrists, we actually create more bone density over time, more strength. And then before you know it, you're arm balancing and doing handstands and all sorts of cool things. So we'll do a couple more things with our wrists. You're going to interlace all of your fingers and just start to move your both hands in a big circle. Noticing mobility here. And then switch the opposite direction. Really good. And then keeping your hands together like this, you're just going to bring the back of one hand to the mat and press firmly down with the other. The hand that's on top is going to stay straight and strong. The other elbow is going to bend and then straighten, and at the same time, you're kind of turning your elbow crease forward. It's a little bit awkward when you first start. You're unsure if you're doing it correctly, but this is about building mobility in your wrists, in your elbow, and in your shoulder. So keep pressing down with your straight arm. Keep bringing the elbow crease to the front, forward. For 3, for 2, last one. Take some of the weight off your hands, flip them the opposite way, press down with your straight arm. The other arm bends and straightens. Front of your elbow crease pointing forward. A lot of times when we don't pay attention to our hands and our wrists, we start to plateau. Our practice stays the same and we don't really progress. So coming back to this foundational element is so important. For 3, for 2, last one, take the weight off your hands, plant both hands in front of your body once again. So here's the thing, we're gonna start with our hands a little bit closer towards our knees. Scrunch your fingers up, and all you're doing is lifting the heels of your hands and your thumbs and then going back down. Lift the heels of your hands, back down. This gets a little harder the further away from your body that your hands are resting. So if you wanna try that, you go ahead, move your hands out in front of your shoulders, lift your hands, and then down. It's like a little push-up for your hands. Keep going. If you're really strong with your wrists and your hands, you can do this from a plank position. I'm not quite there yet, but go ahead and try. Just be mindful of your wrists. And do 5 more. So you don't always have to do all of these exercises at once when you're warming up your wrists. And when you're finished your 5, stop there. Bring your knees really nice and wide. Set your hips back towards your heels. As you arrive, just find a little sway from side to side. Notice your inner thighs, your groin. And slowly start to make your way down. Keep your arms active. Tense your fingers on the earth. And then imagine that your chest wants to go down, but the strength of your shoulders and your lats stops you from moving any further. Press the earth away from your fingers. Big breath in. As you exhale, begin to walk all the way over to the left, but press into your fingers to keep your right hip down. Find that strength, especially in your right shoulder now, that stops your chest from melting down. Start to breathe into that right shoulder, the right side of your body. One more inhale. Then look forward, start to walk back through center and over to the right. Press into your fingers to keep your left hip down. Create that strength in your left shoulder. And then just breathe here. Notice expansion in the left side of your body. One more breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. Walk back through center. This time you're going to bring your knees closer together and then back. You want your hips to be directly over top of your knees, like you're coming into puppy pose. So the same thing that we did last time with preventing our heart from melting down, we're going to do that again. So your belly button comes back in towards your spine. Try and knit the bottom of your rib cage to the top of your hips. Tent your fingers on the earth and then create that strength in your shoulders and your lats that prevents your heart from melting down. This is actually a little bit difficult for the core. Looks easier than it feels. Breathe here. Keep your core strong. Shoulders stay strong. You got this. 2 more rounds of breath. And then relax your shoulders, hips stay over top of your knees, melt your heart down, look forward. Hands can come on the earth. If you tent your fingers, you get a little more out of this, but just be aware of what your shoulders are telling you. One more breath in. And then everyone plant your forearms on the mat, spread your fingers wide, and then just start to slither through. See if you can use the strength of your forearms. Bring your chest through, belly finds the earth, elbows wind up underneath your shoulders. So if you have to adjust your arms, go ahead. Press your pubic bone down into the earth, squeeze your bum, press down into your forearms and your palms, and then pull your chest through the gateway of your shoulders. Lift your crown. Big breath in. Sigh it out. And then relax here, give your hips a little shake. We're gonna stretch further into our shoulders here. So bring your right hand out long to the side of your body. And then you're gonna tent your left fingers. Your elbow can be at about a 90-degree angle. All you're doing is rolling over to the left. Your left leg can bend and your toes can plant behind you on the earth if that's available. Just notice that stretch in your right shoulder, maybe even your chest. And if you're not quite feeling it, give yourself permission to play with the angle of your right arm. Make sure that you take the weight off of your arm before you move. And to make this even more intense, you can bend your right elbow and find a cactus. Now that's way more intense for me. I can't even plant my left toes on the earth the same way. So find what works for your body and pause. Breathe into that place that feels a significant stretch. One more breath in. Exhale, roll back through center. And then switch sides. So your left arm comes out long to begin. Right fingers tent on the earth, elbows at a 90-degree angle. Roll open to the right. Your right toes can plant behind you. And then give yourself permission to play with the angle of your left arm. Relax your head down. And if you want a little more, you might even bend into your left elbow. Notice what works for you. Then close your eyes, find your breath. Big inhale. Exhale, come back through center. Well done. Bring your palms beneath your shoulders. Press into your palms and your knees. Rise up into your table. We're going to go over a plank pose here. So bring your hands directly beneath your shoulders and then walk them a tiny bit in front of your shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. Now it's really important in your plank pose that you round through your spine, make as much space between your shoulder blades as possible. This is about building strength, so you want to activate each part of your shoulders. And then what you're doing here is you're turning your triceps back so that they reach towards your toes. So it's like you're wrapping your arms forward. And then at the same time, it's almost like you want to squeeze your forearms towards one another. That's going to build lots of strength there. So when you're ready, step your toes back. You can do this from your knees as well. You want your hips to be slightly below your shoulders. It's really important that your belly button comes in towards your spine. Now, just to show this and make it clear, you want to have not an anterior tilt. An anterior tilt of your pelvis means that the front of your pelvis is coming down and your tailbone comes up. You want your tailbone to go down and the front of your pelvis to tuck in. At the same time that the front of your pelvis comes in, belly button goes back, bum is engaged. So try that in your plank pose. Toes go back or your knees. Belly comes up to your spine, squeeze your bum. Fingers are spread wide. You're sending your triceps to point back. Lots of space between your shoulder blades. And then squeeze your arms towards one another. Lots happening here, lots of strength. And then just start to rock back and forth. This is going to build heat in your core as well as your shoulders. You want to make sure that your hips aren't really high above your shoulders, nor are they really low. They're just a tiny bit below your shoulders. Big breath in. Exhale, set your knees down. And then just start to shift back and forth. A little bit of mobility in our spine here. See if you can send your shoulders way past your wrists. Start to feel that heat in your wrists. And then we're going to start sending a little bit of love to our hips. The best part, right? So bring your knees together, pour your weight into your right knee, and then step your left foot forward. Your toes can point to the left. Your foot is in line with your hands. Curl your back toes under and lift your knee. Feel that strength throughout your right leg, and then just start to shift forward and back. Forward and back. And breathe here. Give yourself a little bit more space if you feel like you're really crunched and this is uncomfortable in the front of your body. You can tent your fingers on the earth or reach for your blocks to give yourself a little bit more height. Keep shifting. You're going to start to feel a little bit warm now. And then pause in stillness. Start to open through your left knee and close. That's all you're doing. Open and close. As you open, your body drops a little bit. Close to lift. Drop. Squeeze your belly button in, lift up, and then relax. Lift and relax. Starting to feel that heat. Keep it going. For 3, for 2, for 1. Keep your knee open, set your back knee down. Just let your hips be really heavy for a moment here. Full breath in. Soft sigh out. It might feel good to find a tiny bit of movement in your hips. And then slowly close your knee. Walk your foot into the middle of your mat. Walk your hands up on top of your thigh. Let your hips get really heavy. Find a tiny bit of engagement of your thighs. You can stay here, or inhale, sweep your fingers all the way up. Exhale, soften your shoulders. Bring your awareness to the front of your right hip. Start to send your breath there. And if you need a little bit more, begin to lift your heart. Maybe you cactus your arms. Maybe you send your arms all the way behind your body to interlace your fingers and drive your knuckles down. With each exhale, lift your heart a little more. Send your hands away from your body. You might be feeling like you're building tolerance here. One more breath in. And as you exhale, shift forward, release your fingers. Let them come to the inside of your left foot. Your left foot moves out once again. Let your left knee open, and then slowly your right hip comes towards the earth. Let your hip be really relaxed. There's no engagement of your muscles. Let it sink towards the earth. If you need to shift your right hand a little closer to the top of your mat, do so, and then sink down. Reach your left fingers back behind you, and then close your eyes. Take a few breaths here. One more breath in. Exhale, begin to unwind. Really good. Both hands come back through center. Maybe you pause here, find a little sway back and forward, a little pulse of your hips. If you'd like to open your knee one last time, go for that. Maybe you even give yourself a moment to lower down onto your forearms. Notice what's different now. Wherever you are, find one more breath in and side out. And then rise up, plant your palms on the earth. Just start to shift your hips back over top of your right knee. All we're doing is shifting back and forward. Back and forward. As you shift back, pull your left toes towards your face and press your heel down. This is not a passive stretch, it's active. So there's a little micro bend that stays in your left knee. 2 more. And then pause with your left leg straight. Toes pulled towards your face. Keep pulling your left hip crease back. And breathe here. It's almost as if you're actively pressing your heel down into the mat. With each inhale, notice a little more length in your spine. And with each exhale, maybe you fold a tiny bit more. Again, this is a great place for blocks to give your body a little more space. One more breath in and let it go. And then reach for your blocks regardless of where you are. We're going to start needing a little bit of support here. And what you're going to do is bring your right hip over your right knee, slide your left foot forward. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do anything too crazy today. Find a place where your blocks can support you, whatever setting is best for you here. Your right hip is a little bit in front of your right knee now. Keep pulling your left toes towards your face. Press your heel down. Keep that micro bend in your left knee, and then squeeze your left heel towards your right knee and your right knee towards your left heel. Big breath in. Slow breath out. One more. Soften, slide your heel further forward. Maybe you change the setting on your blocks. Maybe your right knee goes back a little more. Find that same action in both of your legs and squeeze heel towards knee, kneel towards heel. Breathe here. Soften one last time. Move as far as you can. Maybe you're no longer using your blocks. Find that action. Squeeze heel towards knee, knee towards heel. Big breath in. Exhale, soften. You might wiggle a tiny bit more. And being very, very mindful of your hips, you might walk both hands on the inside of your left knee. Just start to shift your hips over to the right until you can feel a stretch in the front of your right hip. Find a little pulse there. Be very mindful here. If it's not quite working for you that way, that's okay. Everyone's hips are different. Big breath in. Exhale, come back through center. Action in your legs. Find your blocks. Use the strength of your hands to press down and slide your left heel back. And then bring your knees both in line. Tuck your toes under, sit back. Find a little relief there. You might close your eyes and just notice the difference that you feel from one side to the other. And find one last breath in. And then begin to shift forward, hands under shoulders once again. Pour your weight into your left knee. Step your right foot forward. Let your foot be on the outside of your right hands. Your toes point slightly to the right. Then curl your back toes under to lift your knee. Lots of strength in your back leg here. You might rise up on the tips of your fingers or use blocks. Start to rock back and forth. I like to keep a flex in my front foot here so that my toes actually lift up as I rock back and then plant as I rock forward. Keep that movement going. For 3, for 2, for 1. Pause in stillness. And all we're doing now is opening up our right knee and closing. And as we close, remember belly button comes into spine. Knit the bottom ribs to the top of your pelvis. Open and close. You might start to feel some heat now. For 3, for 2, last one. And then slowly set your back knee down, let your hips be really heavy, open through your right knee. Big breath in. Exhale, close your right knee, walk your foot into the middle of your mat, and then squeeze your thighs together, walk your hands up on top of your right thigh. Let your hips get really heavy. Stay here or inhale, sweep your fingers overhead. Exhale, soften your shoulders. Notice the front of your left hip. Maybe you lift your heart a little more. Option to cactus your arms. Or send your arms behind your body. Interlace your fingers the weird way this time. Drive your knuckles down. With each exhale, you might lift your heart a little more. You might send your hands behind and away from your body. Breathe slowly. One more inhale. Exhale, release your fingers, slowly lean forward, hands come to the inside of your right foot. Heel toe your right foot over once again, and then very gently start to send your left hip towards the earth, open through your right knee. Walk your left hand to the top of your mat. Then send your right fingers towards the back of your mat. Let everything get heavy and soft. Find your breath. One more slow breath in. And as you exhale, begin to unwind. You're going to close off your right knee. Your foot might come a little bit closer to the middle of your mat. And then just start to bend and straighten into your leg, remembering to keep that action of your right leg. Toes pull towards face, heel presses down. Keep a little micro bend in your right knee. And then find 3 more. Pause with your right leg straight. Left hip is directly over top of left knee. Let your spine be nice and long. So if you need a little more space here, it's a great place to reach for a block. Think about pulling your right hip crease back. Slow and smooth breath. Each inhale, noticing the expansion in the back of your right leg. You can tolerate. Two more rounds of breath. And after your last round, begin to shift your right foot forward. Great place to reach for your blocks here. Your left hip is a little bit in front of your left knee now. Right toes pull towards your face, press your heel down, little action in your right knee. And then pull your right heel towards your body, pull your back knee in towards your body. Lots of action here. Big breath in. Slow breath out. Find one more. And then soften a little, move your right knee or right heel further forward. You might change the setting on your blocks. Find that same action, pull everything in, breathe. Building up strength and mobility. You're doing great. One more breath in. Exhale, sigh, soften, slide your right heel as far forward as it will go. You might have your support still, you might not. Create that action. Heel and knee towards the middle of your body. Breathe. One more breath in with this action. Exhale, soften. Maybe you stay here and just linger. Breathe into the back of your leg. Maybe you walk both hands on the inside of your right leg and send your hip to the left a little until you can feel a stretch in the front of your left hip. Be very, very mindful. This doesn't work for every set of hips on the face of the planet. Just be very careful. And then come back through center. Use your support. Press firmly into your support and then slide your leg back. Right knee comes in line with your left. You can tuck your toes under or leave them untucked. Great opportunity to stretch your toes. Just let your hips rest on your heels and close your eyes. Let go of any tension from your face. Let your breath be soft. And one more big breath in. Exhale, sigh it out. And then move your blocks out of the way. We're going to practice one more thing here before we wind down for the day. So find your table once again, and then slide your left knee up behind your left wrist. Your shin can be at any angle set up for your pigeon. Rise up so that you're on the tips of your fingers. Notice the stretch in the front of your right hip. If you'd like a little more there, you can curl your back toes under to lift your knee. Breathe into your right hip. And then side out, lower your back knee. Now before you make your way down, you might reach for your strap and hook your strap around the back or the top of your right foot, or reach your right hand back and grab the inside of your right foot. Whether you're holding your foot with your hand or the strap, kick your foot back, bring a stretch into your right chest, your right armpit, maybe even a little bit of your right bicep. Inhale. And then as you exhale, pull everything in. Notice that intense stretch in your right thigh. If this feels like too much, you can release. If it feels good and you'd like to keep going, then start to fold forward. Find your sleeping pigeon. You can let go of your back leg at any time. See if you can start to gently soften through your hips. You might even experiment with holding your foot with your other hand. Notice what works for your body. I like to hold my foot with my same side arm as my bent leg, and then I like to walk my fingers forward and keep that action in my shoulder that prevents me from coming all the way down. And then eventually you relax down. Wherever you are, find 2 more rounds of breath. And after your last exhale, without slingshotting your foot, if you're still holding it, let it go long. And slowly walk up onto both palms. Now this is a great place to pause and practice your mermaid if you'd like a little mermaid. But for the sake of time, we'll keep going on to the other side. So press into your palms, curl your back toes under to lift your knee and scoot forward. And then send your left leg out long. Let your toes find the earth and just find a gentle pulse of your heel towards the back of your mat. Oh, it feels good to let that rush of blood come back in. Keep going if that feels really amazing. Maybe you'd like a little sway in your hips, a little drink of your tea. And then we'll switch sides. Right knee up to right wrist, shin at any angle, lower down. To start, rise up on your fingers. Feel a little sway in your hips. If you'd like a little bit more stretching sensation, back toes curl under to lift your knee. Nice active stretch here. You've done a lot today for your hips, so tomorrow you might notice a little bit of soreness, a little bit more awareness of those areas. And then soften your knee. Reach back with either your strap or your left hand to take hold of your foot. And then to begin with, kick your foot back until you bring a stretch into your left armpit, chest, and maybe even your bicep. Big inhale. Exhale, pull your foot into your body any amount. Just pause here, noticing that stretch in your left thigh. And then maybe you release your foot, or maybe you continue to hold your foot as you melt down. Now again, give yourself permission to experiment with what works best for your body. And we expect so much of ourselves in regards to perfection, and often we want to move so quickly, we want to progress faster and faster, and we're a little bit frustrated when we can't find a pose right away. You would never treat other people the way you treat yourself. So it's so funny. I invite you to start having an inner dialogue that's a little bit more kind. If you want to switch hands, switch hands. If you want to experiment with tenting your fingers on the earth, finding that strength in your shoulder and lats, find a breath in. And then as you feel ready, melt as much as you can. Find one more big breath in. If you're holding your foot, release it without slingshotting. Then start to rise up on your palms. Bring your back knee a little closer to your body. Right leg goes out long. Enjoy that rush of blood. Find a little pulse of your heel back. Then as you feel ready, swing your legs out in front of your body. Let your sit bones find the earth. Just take a moment to shake your legs out. Maybe noticing if they feel different from the beginning of practice. I like to find a little sway in my ankles here. Then as you feel ready, make sure there's space behind you on your mat. Lay all the way down. Let your knees come into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. If you have a favorite spinal twist here, go ahead and find that now. I'll share with you mine. So feet come to the mat, press into your feet, hips go to the right, knees go to the left, and I really enjoy straightening my top leg here. So my left hand holds onto the outside of my right knee, right arm goes out wide, and I gaze over my right shoulder. I invite you to close your eyes and begin to soften with each exhale. Imagine as you breathe in that you're finding more length along your spine, more space between each vertebra. Find one more inhale, and let it go. Come back through center, reset your spine, and then take a moment to pause here. You might notice a difference from one side to the other. And as you feel ready, find your twist on the other side. Hips go left, legs go right, gaze over your left shoulder. See how quickly you can find softness in your twist. And that softness is not just in your legs, your hips, and your spine. It's also in your jaw, your scalp, and your face. Breathe length into your spine. One more breath in. Exhale, come back through center. If you're craving any last move, any last stretch, please take the time to do that. And if you're feeling ready for Shavasana, go ahead and find your most comfortable resting pose. You might let your legs be long and wide. Let your feet soften and split out. Your shoulder blades might kiss a little closer together beneath you. Would you like your arms out wide, or maybe your hands rest on your belly today? Again, notice where you're holding tension. Let tension go and let it be replaced by a nice soft calm. Begin to notice the parts of your body that are resting on the earth beneath you. Invite a heaviness into these places. Let gravity hold you. And there's something really beautiful that happens when we focus on the weight of our body, on the heaviness of our bones. And when we can focus on that, it's so calming for our nervous system. It creates a feeling of safety in your body. And we all could use a little more of that. So if there's any last bit of tightness that you're holding, I invite you to find the biggest inhale possible, holding it in for just a second at the top, and then sighing it out. And find as many of those as you need before you settle into complete stillness. Letting go of any control over your breath. Focusing your awareness on those places that are contacting the support beneath you. Lingering in the feeling of heaviness. Please stay here for as long as you can today. Let your nervous system have a little bit of calm. Start to balance the crazy. As always, I thank you so much for practicing with me today. I'm sending you love. Namaste.